Hey, we're live. Welcome, everyone, to the program. Well, not really the program, the pre-show, the 3-minute precursor to the program. While we get all set up, make sure everything's working. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing. How's everybody tonight? Good to see you here. Glad that you made it in. And we're going to, as we always do, have a 3-minute pre show, which is not much of anything special other than just getting everything warmed up, making sure all the buttons are pushed, all my T's are crossed, and my I's are dotted. So let's see how it's going up over here. Those of you who like to chat with this show, as you know, we've been using just the built-in chat for the last week that we've been doing live programs here, and that live, yeah, a little clunky to use. However, where am I playing? I'm hearing music. I'm not sure why. Oh, there it is. So, it's a little clunky to use, but I'm working at getting a new chat room set up through an online app called Discourse. Not Discord, Discourse. And looks like we'll be able to have a pretty cool chat room setup, very interactive. And so that will be of benefit to everybody who comes to this show and likes this show and likes to know what's going on. Hey, Grumpy Stack, I see you over there. Good to see you, brother. Glad you made it in. And so everybody else, Grumpy included, we'll have a new chat room maybe by Friday of this week. So we'll see how that goes. We've got less than 1 minute and we go live over on the radio broadcast. That is over at odysseyradio.com. Hey, Randall Flagg, good to see you, brother. Glad you made it in. And everybody else who's getting here. So we're going to talk about something kind of interesting tonight. I'm not even up on all the ins and outs of all of this, but I want to present the information and present it as objectively as possible. All right. So we'll take it from there. Well, that's how we'll call it. So everybody, you stand by. We're going to go dark for a few seconds, and then we will be back with the program. Sit tight.
The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, folks, happy Wednesday evening. Welcome to the program. I'm Scotty Roberts. I'm your host of this here, my show, the Intrepid radio program, broadcasting to you live in audio format over on the radio station. That is Subspace. I'm sorry. It's Subspace Odyssey Radio, but it's odysseyradio.com. And that's ODYSY radio.com. Go on over. You can hear the audio format. You can hear this show replay the next day, and you can go over and check out the lineup of shows we have over at Odyssey Radio, Subspace Odyssey Radio. So go check it out. And you can also hear this show right here on my Patreon channel. And if you are a member of Patreon, of my Patreon, you get to come in and listen to these shows 3 times a week. Plus other stuff we're doing. If you haven't checked it out yet, we've got several shows uploaded that are not live shows that have been pre-recorded. You can go check it out. And there's other things here. So just watch the announcements as they come in. And so it's good to have you all here tonight. Thanks, everybody, for coming in and for joining the broadcast this evening. Now, this is a big topic. This topic of the FBI knew. What did they know? What did they know about Joe Biden? And why are we talking about that while there's, I know the left and all the detractors and everybody who's out there likes to say, well, you're just trying to distract from what's happening to Trump by mentioning anything about Joe Biden. What's Joe Biden have to do with it? What's Hunter Biden have to do with it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, an awful damn lot. And here's the argument falls flat. You can say, well, this is happening to Trump, the indictment, the this and that, the Espionage Act, the Presidential Act, so on, all of these things. But that does not mean the other things go to bed. I'm not using the Joe Biden story, the Hunter Biden story, the FBI story to counter anything about Trump. I'm saying, but I do ask the question, why do we pursue Trump, but we do not pursue Joe Biden? Why is it that the left seems to have a moratorium on indicting and prosecuting anyone who has done anything that could be booked as wrong? And they look at Trump because they're after Trump. They want Trump taken down. There is a hatred of Trump. Trump violated the code. He went into Washington and he said, I'm not going to operate under the rules of Washington. I'm not going to operate by the rules of all you people that want to control my presidency. I'm going to do it a different way. And for that, he got trounced on before he even became president. If you just look at the history, why do I have a problem with this indictment just on its surface? Because I look back over the last 2 years of the Biden presidency, 4 years of the Trump presidency, a year and a half prior to the Trump presidency. You add those all up, you got 7.5 years, or 6.5 years, 7.5, where Trump has been pursued relentlessly. And so many times that you can hardly keep track. I want to get just a list of all the things that have been brought up as accusations against Trump. And people either love him or they hate him. And I think there's a great driving hatred, the Trump derangement syndrome, the TDS that we referred to. That just as much as the left wants to say that a Trump supporter is part of a cult, I would say, which I know is not true, and whatever, it's political rhetoric. I get it. Everybody says their stuff. But the other side of that coin is, what are you in? If all you are doing is pursuing, wanting to see this man taken down, wanting to see such a hatred for Trump, and yet I have to ask you, and I pose this question to all of you, what is it? And I ask this of my liberal friends. What is it exactly that Trump did that makes you hate him so bad? What did he do? Can anybody here in this chat room, can you tell me what is it that Trump did that causes the half of America to hate him and want to see him destroyed? So there's the big question I have to ask you, and I want to know if you've got any answers to that. There is no crime here, Randall Flagg says. They've manipulated these laws to shape a narrative. Trump did nothing wrong. No, he didn't. But there are perspectives on that. The not doing something wrong, Randall over in the chat room and everybody else, the things that Trump didn't do wrong are the defense, are what's going to be used as the defense. But there are some who are very objective that say there are some iffy areas here that they're going to have to be very careful about. And so I'm setting the tone for where I'm going tonight. I want to talk about what the FBI knew about the Biden case, the Hunter Biden case, and what they have not revealed, and what Congress is now starting to get up in arms about and say, FBI, reveal this information. If you haven't seen it, go watch a little video clip of Ted Cruz drilling the assistant director of the FBI just over the last couple of days, saying, why are you not answering our questions? And he asked, is this information available? Are there 17 recordings of phone calls, 15 of them between Hunter Biden and the FBI and Burisma, and 2 between then Vice President Joe Biden and Burisma? And the answer from the assistant FBI director was, well, I can't talk about that. And here you've got Congress. Isn't the FBI a legal branch of the United States? Not a branch of government, not executive. They're underneath the Department of Justice. But does not the FBI have an obligation to answer questions to the American people and also to Congress? And when Congress asks, what is it? Do you have these recordings? Well, I can't talk about that. Well, yeah, you can, and you better soon. This is what's going on with this particular case. Now, I've got a couple of things called up here, and I want to look at this. This is Chuck Grassley of Iowa. He's a Republican senator from Iowa. And I'm going to read something he wrote, and he's urging transparency. Make unclassified documents available. Now, last week, this is Chuck Grassley's words. Listen to this closely. He said, last week I came to the Senate floor to give a speech about Biden Justice Department and FBI playing games with the American people by hiding the FBI generated 1,023 documents from Congress. Director Wray was going to be held in contempt for refusing to produce the 1,023 that I told Chairman Comer about. Then instead of contempt, the FBI committed to showing the 1,023 and related documents to Congress. So the FBI showed but didn't provide possession of that 1,023 to the House Oversight Committee last week. As the public knows, that 1,023 documents involves an alleged bribery scheme between then Vice President Biden, Hunter Biden, and a foreign national. The same allegations that Chairman Comer and I made public on May 3rd of this year, just a little over a month ago. And on the same day that the FBI provided a redacted version of the 1023 to the House Oversight Committee, the Justice Department announced that former President Trump had been indicted and charged with 37 crimes relating to his alleged mishandling of classified records. So you see, let me stop there for a second in Grassley's writing here. When people will say to you, you're trying to compare these other, you're trying to diminish what Trump did. No, I'm not. I'm saying, let this whole thing with Trump play out. I think it's a travesty, and I don't think he did anything wrong, but let it play out. At the same time, that does not mean we do not have other huge issues going on in this country, such as the former vice president engaging in bribery and violations of the same acts that they're saying Trump is inviolate of. Now, Grassley goes on. Attorney General Garland signed off on prosecuting Trump for conduct similar to what Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton engaged in. Two standards of justice in this country will turn our constitutional republic upside down. Now, let me pause again on that point, folks. You cannot have two standards of justice. Why is it that Trump is being pursued and prosecuted so vigorously while Hillary Clinton and people will go, oh, you're going to talk about the 33 documents. I got 33,000 emails. Yeah, I am, because that was a real thing. She was under subpoena. She is not a president. She never was a president. She does not have the same power and authority granted to her by the Constitution and other laws regarding documents. She destroyed 33,000 emails. She also acid scrubbed her computer. Her server for all of this, as the Secretary of State, was in her bathroom in her home in Chappaqua. Now, they're making all this to do about Trump having boxes in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, boxes that they say contained illegal documents for him to own. But then they don't say anything about Hillary Clinton having this server. And this is several years ago now. This is 5-6 years ago. 6-7 years ago. They also came out with the Durham report just in the last couple of weeks that stated that Hillary Clinton has been identified as the person who helped create the Steele dossier, the false information about Russian collusion. How many millions of dollars did our nation spend on the special counsel, the Mueller report, all of this, all the years of Russian collusion, and they do find out exactly what Trump said it was. It all goes back to Hillary. Yet there is no there's no, not circumstances, consequences for Hillary Clinton. How about Joe Biden? Bribery. I'm going to get into that, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, so you're a little up to snuff on it. But it's interesting to me that conduct similar, they're prosecuting Trump for conduct that they're saying is similar to what we already know about Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. That's two standards of justice in our country at the highest levels of government. That will turn our constitutional republic on its ear. And when you hear people say we are part of a banana republic now, and that meaning we have tin pot dictators, think of Noriegas and Castros and guys like this, you look at that and you say, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are we acting like these tin pot dictatorships? Why is it that other people who have committed what we know to be, it's untried, they're innocent until proven guilty, but the investigations have revealed what they're doing, yet there's nothing happening? This is a problem. And this is a problem for the United States. And unless we get a handle on this, this is something that is going to drag us down in the gutter. The destruction of America. Do you know, as a side note, many of the great civilizations, almost every one of the great civilizations in our history that hit their prime also collapsed. And they generally collapsed from within. Do we want to keep this republic? Ben Franklin said 250 years ago, it's a republic, madam, if you can keep it. Now, 250 is a long number of years to keep a republic, but look at Great Britain. How old are they? How old is England? They have different forms of government. They've gone from monarchy to parliamentary rule, but you get the idea. So two standards of justice in this country is going to break us down. And thanks to the political infection within the Biden Justice Department, this is back to Grassley. He says, thanks to the political infection within the Biden Justice Department and FBI, we're well along the road for that collapse to happen. You know how the left is always screaming, no one is above the law. Well, they aren't above the law either, but they're practicing like they are. And as far as Trump goes, there may be nobody who is above the law, but there should be nobody who is below the law. And right now, the way they've treated Trump, do you notice everything they ever try to do to Trump always ends up with him not being found guilty, not suffering the consequences of what they want to have happen every single step along the way. Now, there might be some things in here where they've got to be very careful. There are some laws out there that Trump may have inadvertently violated, but there's more to them than that. I'm going to cover some of that. So Grassley said of himself, this senator, he said, will do all that he can to fight the political infection. And you fight it by bringing transparency to what the government does. The public's business ought to be public. Transparency brings accountability. And people seem to forget. We're so afraid of our government. But our government, God damn it, our government works for us. And we're the ones that should be able to pull the strings and call the shots. But our government right now is set up in such a way that you can't do that. You better be damn careful what you do if you get too close to the truth. It's like anything that's ever happened all throughout human history. It's all about power and who's in power. I see Trump as somebody who, it sounds so cliche, but he loves America. He's all about pushing America forward, not himself. As egotistical as you say he might be or think he might be, he is about pushing America forward. With respect to the 1,023 documents shown to that House committee, from what Grassley was told by folks who reviewed it, it's filled with redactions, meaning all this stuff blacked out that you can't read. So Director Wray placed redactions on a document that's already unclassified. It's an unclassified document. What's he doing? Scratching out and making redactions on these documents. What are they hiding when it's an unclassified document? More than that, the FBI made Congress review a redacted, unclassified document in a classified facility. That goes to show you the disrespect the FBI has for Congress. On a previous time on the Senate floor, Grassley asked his fellow senators, what's so unusual about an unclassified document being given to the public? When on May 18th of this year, there was leaked to the New York Times a classified document and even the name of a confidential human source. So we're kind of in a strange situation here. A classified document can be leaked to the New York Times, but an unclassified document can't be made public to 300 million Americans. What's that tell you, folks? As I'm talking about, if this is the first time you've heard that, let me ask you, what does that tell you? The FBI, somebody at the FBI, somebody in government, everybody, they leak these classified documents to newspapers if it's trying to sway the opinion of the public mind. However, when it comes to something like this, they're hiding unclassified information. People forget it's our government, says Randall Flagg. Yeah, they do. People are afraid of the government. So this is a big issue. The biggest issue right now is the FBI. Who are they working for? Who are they trying? And this isn't new with the FBI. It's just being found out to be very current now. So accordingly, Congress still lacks a full and complete picture with respect to what the document really says, because there's so much of it blacked out. That's why it's important that the document be made public without unnecessary redactions for the American people to see. Don't you want to see these documents? I sure as hell do. Here, and then Grassley goes on, let me assist for purposes of transparency. The 1,023 produced to that House committee redacted reference that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversations with them. 17 total recordings. That just came out over the last few days to the public. According to the 1,023 documents, the foreign national, well, he's just calling it the 1023, so I'll just refer to it as that as I move forward here. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden And according to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case he got into a tight spot. And the 1023 also indicates that then Vice President Joe Biden may have been involved in Burisma employing Hunter Biden, peddling influence. So Grassley goes on, as I've repeatedly asked since going public with the existence of the 1023, what, if anything, has the Justice Department and the FBI done to investigate this matter? The Justice Department and the FBI must show their work. They no longer deserve the benefit of the doubt. It's clear that the Justice Department and the FBI will use every resource to investigate candidate Trump, President Trump, and former President Trump. They'll use every resource. Have you noticed this, folks? They pull out all the stops and use every investigatory tool they have to try to nail him. So based on the facts known to Congress and the public, it's clear that the Justice Department and the FBI will use every resource to investigate candidate Trump, President Trump, former President Trump. Based on the facts known to Congress and the public, it's clear that the Justice Department and the FBI haven't nearly had the same laser focus on the Biden family. Special counsel Jack Smith has used a recording against former President Trump. Well, what's U.S. Attorney Weiss doing with respect to those alleged Joe and Hunter Biden recordings that are apparently relevant to a high-stakes bribery scheme? Getting a full and complete 1023 is critical for the American people to know and understand the true nature of the document and to hold the Justice Department and FBI accountable. It's also important for asserting constitutional congressional oversight powers against an out-of-control executive branch drunk with political infection. Remember, Congress has received 1023s in the past, and they've been made public. So asking for this 1023 to be turned over to the American people to read is not unusual. Congress owes it to the American people and the brave and heroic whistleblowers to continue to fight for transparency in this matter and make this document public without unnecessary redactions. I want everyone to remember, he says, that I have read the unredacted version. So he knows what's out there. The problem is, it's his word against the FBI. And so they're attempting to tell the FBI right now, you have the obligation to the American people to release these documents unredacted. Let's see what's in there. Let's hear about the recordings. Let's hear all of this stuff. We need to know these things. Now, there's an interesting, this is from what you might consider somebody hostile to Donald Trump, and that's CNN. And they wrote an article that has some good points. They also are pretty trying to rip him down as well. But the headline of their article says, Trump is not a spy. Why is he charged under the Espionage Act? Now, this is something I want you to think about. Remember, he's being charged under the Espionage Act. So an emerging defense of former President Donald Trump is that he should not be criminally charged. The federal indictment released on Friday describes him sloppily hoarding classified documents at his private clubs. After all, not selling secrets to a foreign country. And here are some examples of that talking point. You may hate his guts, but he's not a spy and he did not commit espionage, said Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. He said the charges are ridiculous and paint an impression that doesn't exist. Then you've got, look at who's been charged under the Espionage Act. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, people who turned over classified information to news organizations to hurt the country or provide it to a foreign power. That did not happen here, Graham said. Trump also made the same argument during an appearance in North Carolina. He said, they're going after me under the Espionage Act. That's like the creation of missiles in your basement, he said. And Joe Biden's Justice Department is trying to argue that Trump is a spy, which is really absurd, said Fox News host Brian Kilmeade on Monday night. Now, it's true that most crimes, 31 of the 37 counts that Trump has been accused of committing stem from the Espionage Act. But it's a complete mischaracterization to say that Trump has been accused of espionage in the common definition. It's also true that plenty of people, including in recent years, have been charged not just for willfully leaking information, as with the cases cited by Graham, but also for retaining it, like Donald Trump. For example, a retired Air Force officer, Robert Burcham, was sentenced earlier this month to 3 years in federal prison for keeping classified materials at his Florida home. Burcham was charged under the same portion of the federal law that prosecutors have accused Trump of violating, the Espionage Act. Now, there is one glaring difference. Burcham is not a president or a former president who are granted special privilege. Now, here's something that Trump's lawyers and everybody in defense of Trump is going to have to look at. The Espionage Act is bigger than espionage. The CNN legal analyst and the former counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for National Security, Carrie Cordero, explained the legal system to CNN's Jake Tapper on The Lead on Monday, 2 days ago. And a typical spy would be charged under the Espionage Act, she said, but so would someone who improperly retained national defense information. So in this case, former President Trump hasn't been charged with spying for a foreign government or espionage as we normally think about it, but he's been charged with willfully withholding national defense information, which is the way that a case like this is normally charged, said Cordero. She also noted that in the national security legal community, there's some discussion of separating laws related to national security information out from the Espionage Act. It's a complex system of laws, folks. But what it comes down to, you have the Espionage Act, but then you also have the Presidential Powers Act. I think that's what it's called, going off the top of my head, which says that Trump, a former president, Trump included in that, doesn't have to comply to the same rules as the Espionage Act. So here, I want to see if I can find the wording of that. The Presidential Powers, I think it's called, Act. Let's see what it says here. Let's see. Post-Trump Democrats push to curb presidential powers. House Democrats say they will vote on legislation this fall to curb the power of the president, an effort to rein in, so on and so on. Let's see. The president's executive order in Hong Kong. Trump uses presidential clemency powers, reining in the growing powers of the presidency, so on and so on and so on. How Donald Trump defends presidential power. Trump's critics raised doubts about civilian control of the military. That's older. That's about something else. That's back in 2020. What is the Presidential Powers Act? It's sections 2 and 3 define specific presidential powers and duties. And section 2, clause 1 describes exclusive presidential powers, namely the commander-in-chief authority, the power to require written opinions from the heads of executive departments, and the pardon powers. He's already got some special powers. What are the 5 presidential powers? He can make treaties with the approval of the Senate. He can veto bills and sign bills. He can represent our nation in talks with foreign countries. He can enforce the laws that Congress passes. He can act as commander-in-chief during a war, and he can call out troops to protect our nation against an attack. And of course, all of those have subcategories as well. So I want to see how, this is 2020. How does the Presidential Powers Act work for Trump's indictment? Let's see if we can get a little tighter on this. I didn't look this up because I was focusing on something else. Trump can legally run for president despite indictments. The Trump documents case, can he still run for president? Yes, he can. That's according to Reuters. Axios was the first one. What Trump indictment means for his 2024 presidential election by Bloomberg. PBS, how Trump's indictment will complicate his 2024. Politico says new Trump indictment, what to know about the classified documents. Time magazine, can Trump still be elected president now that he's indicted? New York Times, Donald Trump is indicted in New York. Okay, that's totally different. CNN comments, NBC News comments. Everybody's commenting on this. So the Presidential Powers Act, in short, because I don't have it in front of me, I heard this described, and the Presidential Powers Act, in relating to the Espionage Act, which 31 of the 37 charges against him are espionage, under this different form of espionage, that Trump has the right to disregard all of it. The president does. A president does. A president can, and it says right in the law, I heard it read, a president can simply say, no, I'm not going to abide by that. He's got the power to do that. So all this talk of the Espionage Act, you see a lot of that buildup, very little being said about the Presidential Powers Act, because that Presidential Powers Act grants him really the right to do what he did. So there's the big fly in their ointment on this. So these are serious charges he's facing, but there's also serious defense for these things. And that is what is very interesting about all of this. I'm looking to see what you guys are saying over in the chat room. Randall Flagg says, we need to know who else in our government took money. There was $5 billion unaccounted for in Ukraine. Schumer, Pelosi, McConnell. We need to know these things. The Presidential Records Act, there are no criminal penalties listed in the presidential, and there's none for the president when it comes to the Espionage Act. Ex-presidents are allowed, says Barbie D, to keep some of these things in general. Yes, they are. Oh, and by the way, I did want to mention, when you see, I had somebody who is a longtime friend of mine off social media, but he's very much to the left in his thinking politically. Very scientific thinker, very skeptical thinker, an intelligent man, but he is so sunk into his politics that he can't possibly see the other side. And it's also when somebody uses phrases like orange man bad, those types of things, I already know that whatever their opinion is based solely on the way they're pooping it out their ass. This is the hatred for Donald Trump. But he put up a picture of all the boxes found in the shower or in the bathroom, one of the bathrooms at Mar-a-Lago. And it's a big marble-lined bathroom. It's not a bathroom like your bathroom at home. A big bathroom. And they found all these boxes. And my buddy was saying, talking about Trump stealing classified documents. And just look at him. Is this where you keep yours, in your bathroom? Well, remember, Trump didn't just take classified documents. He took all kinds of documents. He took all kinds of memorabilia from being president, all kinds of newspaper clippings and newspapers, magazines, thousands upon thousands of photographs. So I asked my friend when he showed that picture, I said, to be objective, tell me what's in those boxes in that picture. Are there any classified documents in those? And he didn't answer that. He couldn't answer that. This is the type of misleading information. We're gonna throw up a picture of that and, well, here's the thing, the same thing with, Biden and all his boxes in the garage and in his Corvette trunk. What was should he not have had? And yes, Barbie D, presidents are allowed to keep some of these documents in general. So, let's move on with this article, um, of why he's being charged. There's no single law. It's a complex system of laws. There's an outline of laws related to classified and sensitive information by the Congressional Research Service. Describes a system based on a complex and often overlapping set of statutes or individual provisions within statutes. There's no single law meant to cover all of these cases. And while mishandling or inappropriately storing national security material can be a risk, one obstacle in convicting Trump could be that he did not appear to be using it against the United States or selling or giving it to a foreign country, but rather just he bragged about it a little bit to two people. I've got these. You can't look at them, but I got them. The Espionage Act was first passed in 1917 as the U.S. entered World War I, although it's been updated in the centuries since. Here's what the law says. The specific language in 18 U.S. Code 793E, which is cited in the indictment against Trump, goes like this. However, or whoever having unauthorized possession of, access to, or control over any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch photograph, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, instrument, appliance, or note relating to the national defense or the information relating to the national defense, which information the possessor has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States or the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicates, delivers, transmits, or cause to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted, or attempts to communicate, deliver, transmit, or cause to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted, the same to any person not entitled to receive it, or willfully retains the same and fails to deliver to the officer or employees of the United States entitled to receive it, or, and then ... That's the whole point here. The National Archives, the FBI, tried repeatedly over time to get the materials back. But the government has accused Trump of hiding from the government and his own lawyers. Now, it's interesting that Trump was just asked to put them under better lock and key just a few weeks before the raid on Mar-a-Lago. So they didn't take any documents with them. So what about the idea that Trump had the power to declassify? And there's that separate argument. It said the president's ability to declassify and control access to national security information flows from the Constitution. He decides, and he alone decides. He said he declassified this material. He can put it wherever he wants. He can handle it however he wants. That's what the law says. That's what Jim Jordan said. However, the complication for Jordan's argument is that Trump, according to the indictment, is on tape referring to material as some of the material is still classified and admitting that since he's no longer president, he lacked the ability to declassify. They said they had that on tape. Now, Nick Ackerman, the former special Watergate prosecutor, told Tapper the Egan case has nothing to do with the Trump case. It is rather concerned with a Navy contractor who was denied the ability to work on a submarine program. So, in fact, what it does say, it warns, and that's a case I didn't mention earlier, it warns about giving untrustworthy people access to classified information, which applies, according to CNN, in spades to Donald Trump. Do you think that's Donald Trump? Is he an untrustworthy person with access to classified information? I don't think so. And that isn't because I'm part of a cult like Hillary Clinton just said the other day. There's more to the indictment than simply the portions dealing with the Espionage Act. Trump's also accused of withholding, corruptly concealing, and scheming to conceal documents in a federal investigation, along with making false statements. And you know what? It's all B as in B, S as in S. It's a, pardon the pun, a trumped up case against Trump. And so if all this minutia has been being taken into consideration in order to try to derail Trump's campaign, why on earth are we not investigating the Bidens? Why on earth is the FBI withholding information from Congress and the American people regarding Burisma, regarding the 17 recordings? Why is this being withheld? It's worth bringing up because it needs to be talked about. Barbie D says, I've just come to the conclusion, like you said, it's all because of his name, Trump. Presidential Records Act. I'm sorry, that's what it is. Thank you, Randall. So this is what we're looking at. And I've got more information here. I'm looking at my time. I got plenty of time. Barbie D says, also, Scotty, aren't ex-presidents allowed to keep some of these things? They're allowed to keep a hell of a lot of stuff. And he's allowed to keep what he's got now. They're just trying to make a case out of it. So, and the Presidential Records Act has no criminal penalty. You're right, Randall Flagg. It does not. So, Donald Trump has not committed a crime. So, there was something else I brought up here. The Washington Examiner brought this case up. Donald Trump is arrested. And by the way, people are like, Donald Trump is arrested. All my liberal friends are like cheering in the aisles. They should be very sad about this, even if it's somebody they don't like, because this is a former president of the United States. But Donald Trump is arrested. He actually turned himself in. And this happened to me once, as a matter of fact. Very different level. I wasn't the president of the United States, but there was something that I had to go to court over about 25 years ago. And when I went to court for this thing, I had my attorney, and it felt like it was more glorified like small claims, but it wasn't a money issue. And I went into court, and the judge said, well, he ruled partially in my favor, partially in the other. And I don't have to tell you what the case is. It's minutia. It's unimportant. I didn't do anything bad. Let's put it that way. It was a contested issue. And so he said, but because you had to turn yourself in for this, he says, you never turned yourself in. They never booked you. So you got to go downstairs after court and turn yourself in. The judge had already ruled. He said, but you got to go downstairs and turn yourself in so they can book you for this. I'm like, are you serious? And so there I am, suit and tie, blah, blah, blah. Go downstairs, sit for about 2 hours in the tank. And then they took me out and they took my picture and fingerprinted me for something that was vacated within a year. Absolutely vacated and gone. So you can make what you want out of all that. I'll talk about it some other time when I'm telling stories. So this is in essence what Trump had to do. Trump had to go in and he had to turn himself in so they could fingerprint and book him. So there it is. That's what that's all about. And by the way, while I'm talking about that, I want to show you something here. Let's see if I've got it here. We'll find out. And if I've got it here, I will share it with you right now. I'm looking for the right thing here. Hang on. Let's see. Do I have it? No, I don't. Not there. I didn't prepare to do this ahead of time. That's why it seems like I'm fumbling around, because I am. It's not something I was thinking of showing you, but it fits into what we're talking about. So let me see if I can call it up fast enough. If I can't, I'm going to let it go and we'll do it another time. But let's see. I'm looking for it. PDF. Nope, not there. Not there. Maybe it's here. PDF. No, I don't think it's here. I'll have to show you a different time. That's too bad. And I'm still looking for it. Got a few more seconds. And we'll be done with it. Nope, it's not here. So we'll skip it for now. Anyway, moving on. I was going to give you a little visual aid on all of this stuff. So let's look at a little bit more information on this. We got about 7 minutes left, and I want to take a look at this this whole Joe and Hunter Biden being caught on the 17 recordings with the Burisma owner. And Grassley, who we read about earlier, revealed all of this about the FBI. Here is the big question for tonight that was in the title of tonight's show. The FBI knew. There's a top Senate Republican revealed Monday, this is Grassley, that an FBI informant said the Ukrainian oligarch involved in allegedly criminal bribery, they're saying allegedly because it's not been tried and convicted, an alleged criminal bribery scheme with Joe and Hunter Biden, also claimed to have 17 recordings of his conversations with the president and his son. Now, Senator Chuck Grassley revealed on the Senate floor that a largely unredacted version of the Bureau's FD 1023 confidential, it wasn't 1023 documents, it was the 1023 document. I misquoted myself at the very beginning of the show. But the FD 1023 confidential human source form said that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his alleged conversations with them. 17 recordings. Now, Congress can do more to prevent these mega fires. The Republican senator said, this is Grassley, these recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case he got into a tight spot. Now, Mykota Zlochevsky, the Ukrainian owner of Burisma, was the foreign national involved in the alleged criminal bribery scheme detailed in the FBI form. And Zlochevsky referred to Joe Biden as the big guy. All that controversy about that months ago, during a conversation several years before the June 2020 date of the Bureau document, according to sources familiar with the FBI record, who described its contents to the Washington Examiner. Grassley added on Monday of this week that according to the FD 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden, and 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Vice President Joe Biden. The senator also said the FBI record also indicates that then Vice President Joe Biden may have been involved in Burisma employing Hunter Biden. In exchange, the whole thing is about an exchange for influence peddling. Look at the way we handle Ukraine right now and the money we send them. What have they got on him? There's the big question. That's my own opinionating here. But the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware is handling the ongoing federal criminal investigation into Hunter Biden. And it's allegedly up to U.S. Attorney David Weiss, a Trump-appointed holdover, to decide whether to indict the president's son. Now, by the way, this is all going on still. And y'all, why Hunter Biden? because it connects the President of the United States, the sitting president, to influence peddling. So in February of 2021, Joe Biden asked all Senate-confirmed U.S. attorneys appointed by Trump for their resignations, with Weiss being a rare exception. What is U.S. Attorney Weiss doing with respect to these alleged Joe and Hunter Biden recordings that are apparently relevant to the high-stakes bribery scheme, Grassley asked. Sources previously told the Washington Examiner that Burisma owner discussed an alleged bribe of $5 million to Joe Biden and of $5 million to Hunter Biden, according to the paid FBI informant who said he heard from Zlochevsky himself. And it's difficult to unravel the alleged bribery scheme for at least 10 years because of the number of bank accounts involved. They used all these bank accounts to cover the paper trail. He alleged Zlochevsky alleged reference to Joe Biden as the big guy. It appears an independent in the apparent reference to the now president as the big guy by a Hunter Biden business associate. The existence of the Ukraine-related FD 1023 appears to have been revealed to Grassley by whistleblowers in 2022. Grassley told the Justice Department and the FBI to back in October to handle over all the records. According to what they're trying to charge Trump with, obstruction, this is exactly what the FBI is doing. So this goes on and on and on, and we're running very short on time for the radio audience, like a minute and a half left. But amid the threat of being held in contempt of Congress by Representative James Comer for failing to comply with a subpoena, Christopher Wray, the acting FBI director, allowed members of Comer's House Oversight Committee to review the FD 1023 last Thursday, but that was the version that was all blackened out and redacted. So what do you think of all this? We're going to stick around after the show, folks. Biden said, by the way, that the bribery allegations were a bunch of malarkey. We'll see, won't we? If it ever gets off the ground. So all of those of you over there on the radio, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of this show. We got to get out of here. And I want to say goodnight to you all. So, radio audience, live long and prosper. Everyone else, stick around for the captain's cabin.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Well, welcome back to the Captain's Cabin, everyone. I'm going to give you a link if you want to call in to the Captain's Cabin. We'll see if anybody is up for talking tonight. Let's see. Let me throw that into the chat room. Boom, right there over on Patreon. You can take a look at that. That gets you into my StreamYard software. And you can come on in and chat with me over here. And it will air over on Patreon. So let me ask you all, how are you enjoying the show so far? We've been broadcasting from Patreon for a week now, a little over a week, 10 days. And so we're now going to get that, I'm going to get that new chat system set up. So it's going to be live like it was over on YouTube. You're going to be able to see everybody's comments without refreshing and all of that. So we'll get that set up, and I think that's the last cog in making this work well. I hope you're enjoying the shows. If you are part of my Patreon, obviously you are, or you wouldn't be here. The neat thing about it is I'm putting up all kinds of shows. I'm putting up past shows that you may not have been here for. You may watch some of these shows and go, oh, did I see this one? But I'm trying to choose shows out of the almost 1,000 shows that I have archived over on YouTube and putting some of those up so you guys can see them and revisit them. I'm putting up whole series of shows. I think I put up all the shows on the Jinn. I'd like to put up all the shows on Wounded Knee, the Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And so I'd like to do that just so you have all of these shows that are here for you to listen to. And we're going to start doing more stuff. And as we grow here on Patreon, we're going to be doing some more paranormal investigating and some more adventurous type of stuff, going out and filming. And I think that it will be a lot of fun for everybody here. So I want to thank you again for being here. Everybody who's part of this, means a lot to me that you would give me your time, your money, that cup of coffee per month, or a little bit more in some cases. So it's good to have you all here. But by the way, something we didn't really tie the big knot on in the first hour was the FBI knew. Yes, they did. That was the title of for tonight's show. Yes, the FBI knew all about the Bidens. And they kept it covered up. And you have to ask yourself the question, why? Is it because there was nothing to it? Oh, there was nothing to it. No, that's not why. It's all this is being done to Trump when they didn't do it to other people who deserve to be investigated and prosecuted. They're doing it to Trump for one reason and one reason alone. That is to keep him from running for the presidency again or becoming the next president again. I'd like to see that happen now. I just want to see it. Even if I don't like Trump fully, even if you don't like Trump fully, I want to see that man in office again. If for no other reason that I can tell all those people on the left, all those TDSers, I tell them to shove it. How'd that go for you, lefties? So I'm glad, Barbie D. It's enjoyable. Figuring out the chat isn't too bad. I can't really figure it out, and I'm the one doing it. But all it is, Barbie D, is simply just refreshing the page. Unless you're on your phone, I haven't seen how it works on a phone. It could be a lot more complicated. On my computer, all I have to do is hit refresh. And then tap on the comments button again, and it opens up all the comments. So I want to get us away from that and back to a live chat. Now, this live chat will be something that will be external to Patreon, but open only to my members. They have a compact, if you will, between this company and Patreon. So my live Patreon, my patrons can go in and access this and watch it during the show and participate in the live chat. So we'll get that all set up here. If I'm lucky, by Friday. I got a lot of stuff on my plate this week, so I may or may not be able to get to that because I don't do radio full time. This is my part-time side gig. So, or is all the other stuff my part-time side gig? Doug Stack asked how Patriot propaganda is going. It's going well. We're still, frankly, still working away on marketing. And we're frankly still working on, I think I just closed my Patreon window. Hopefully I'm still broadcasting. We'll find out. I think I am, because I didn't end the broadcast. So let's find out. Excuse me. I'm still broadcasting over here on Patreon. Accidentally shut the window, but I don't think that will end the stream until I actually end the stream itself. So, keeps wanting to take me to a different place. You know when you do on a computer and things are loading and you click on something, but as you're clicking, it scrolls automatically and you hit the wrong thing. So it just happened to me. So I think we're still going. Oh yeah, we're still live. Okay, I just had to double check it. So and then when you refresh, you just hit load more comments down below the window, and that'll load up all the comments for tonight. I'm glad it's enjoyable for you, Barbie D. Let me go over to StreamYard. Nobody's called in. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to wrap it. We're going to call tonight's show a show. I'd call, but my camera isn't working, says Grumpy Stack. Well, you get that fixed, brother, and we'll have you on next time. Friday. If all goes well, we'll do a paranormal show on Friday, the Ghost Day. Friday is Ghost Day. We'll see if we can make that happen unless something else comes up that's so pressing I got to change the topic. So we'll see you again here Friday. And thank you for being here, everybody. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate you putting your money into this show to help support it. And it means a lot to me. I love you all. Thank you a lot. Spread the word. Let's get this channel built up. And we'll keep doing some amazing things. So live long and prosper.